Hi everyone. Sorry, I had to get all the right things hooked up for us this morning. We're missing a link, but we're here now. Good morning. We're here for Recovery Reset. And I think after just the state of the world at large this week, along with some of the hard work we've done specifically yesterday and just the season in general, we're going to focus today on a really nourishing practice. We'll do a few stretches to get us going. We're gonna work into a breathing practice. I've got some of my favorite props, one of them being flashlight. Yes, move your leaves out of the way, so if you wanna come over here, that's good. Yeah, he's here. I've also got, this is called a backjacker. It's a meditation chair. I just wanted to tell you about it. You don't need one. You can sit wherever you like or on a cushion or your bolster. You can also, like the backjacker is kind of a nice way to just have an opportunity to sit for a longer period of time because it gives you back support. It's like a hard back and a soft seat. So I've got that. I'm actually gonna put that over here for the moment. And then, where can we put it so it's not in the way? There we go, someplace over here. Maybe we'll just hide it behind the plants. Let's do that. And then lastly, I've got the prana mat set. So in the event that you have any of this sort of thing, it's just kind of a spiky mat that I'm going to use when we lay down today. So we're going to, let me put this off to the side initially, and I'll tell you all about those things if you're interested and want to get them. But for right now, let's just have a seat, have your weight nearby. Excuse me, that's my water, thank you. Come lay down over here. Flash totally knows meditation and all the mindfulness practices. If you are on my mailing list, you probably got to practice with him this week. And yeah, he's gonna sit right in my lap. Okay. All right, everyone. So let's just get comfortable to start. And I want to talk a little bit as we're getting the dog to calm down. He's not that wild anyways, but I want to talk a little bit about two feedback loops that I'd like you to just work with today and also just consider for the long term. The first one is stress, savor. Hi. The second one is stress, survival, which is, you're getting me close, Flash. Lay down, buddy. So stress savor loop is when you're stretching yourself into situations that are less comfortable, that challenge you mentally, physically, that give you an opportunity to just lean into your edges and see kind of what you have in terms of your reserves. And ultimately, the end goal is that you will be able to savor the experience for growth and learning and development and all of the more positive aspects of stress in the body. Everything we do is stress, but ultimately, when we can learn from it, when we can build reserves, that's when it really works well for us, okay? The other feedback loop is stress survival. When we're in this feedback loop, we're going beyond our edge. We are pushing ourselves to a place that's outside of us, whether it's our abilities or expectations of someone else instead of what's going to be really nourishing or growth-oriented for us. We're stretching beyond what we're capable of, and thus we put our brain and our body into more of a state of survival, like holding on. That's our fight, flight, freeze. So throughout our practice today, I want you to explore what it feels like to be in the stress savor loop, meaning this is good for me, which all of you know, we're usually there, right? We do a good job in this space of getting into that loop. This is good for me, it feels good, I feel nourished, everything feels right. And in the event that you feel yourself tiptoeing into the stress survival, then I invite you to just kind of back out, do what you need to do, breathe, stretch, get up, shake it out, jump, scream, cry even. All of these emotional releases are ways of completing the stress cycle. So when we find ourselves in a space of stress survival, often it is that fight, flight, freeze. And if you've ever seen a dog play a dog play with another dog and get into like a really rowdy play, at the end of the play, they usually either like huff or they do a shake out. They shake it off. These are all physiological ways of moving from a place of activation where the play or the excitement starts to a place of like chemical response, like all this stress is happening and maybe it's good, but maybe it's not good. And then everything's heightened, everything's like, and then it comes down and they reconcile with a shake or a step. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I stop petting you? My gosh. Okay, that's what you want? All right. So with that said, let's just move our bodies a little to get into our body, and I'll encourage you and remind you to come back to that stress savor space. So we're gonna take our hands on our knees. I'm afraid to stop petting him. I'm gonna yell at me. Let's round our backs and just roll back. You're just sitting comfortably. If you need to be in a chair, that's okay too. And then sit up tall, and let's come into an arch of the spine, lifting your heart, lifting your chest, lifting your focus, lifting your eyes. Good. And then again, round backward. And I brought his carpet out here because I thought he'd lay on it, but nope, you just want to be around me. Lift up and reach up and stretch up. Let's do 2 more. Start to breathe out, emptying your lungs, emptying your back as you round your back. And then fill up as you reach to the sky. We'll do 1 more time, rounding. Lifting. Reaching. And then come back to center. Feel yourself perched up on your sits bones. Let's take our hands out to the sides. Just slide your right arm away, listening to the ground and just taking a side bend stretch. Your sides are feeling. Mine are pretty tight from yesterday. And build your spine back up and go in the other direction. Why don't you lay down? Why don't you lay down? Oh, he said, no, play. It is not playtime. Go again to the right side. Lay down. Just relax. And come all the way up through the center. And 1 more time to the left. Everything feels good. That's the objective. There we go. Perfect. Right in frame and everything. Flashlight. You're hired. Let's go over to the right side again. Add your left arm and just, I'd like to invite you to breathe in as you reach overhead and then breathe out as you press your arm down. So a big breath in and stretch. And again. We're just kind of pumping the lungs. I don't think Christina's here, but if you do watch this at another time, Christina, just be gentle with your rib cage. If any of you have any tension, it's just about moving through the space with a little bit of resistance. Let's do 1 more on this side, and then inhaling as we stretch over. As we exhale, we're gonna press all the way up and then side bend to the other direction. Find it and then breathe. And as we're breathing, you're always trying to breathe your own breath. It's a matter of being willing to see what's there for you, taking the time you need. So certainly if you need more space and time to inhale and exhale. Good. And then let's exhale and press up on the last one. Good. We're gonna rotate left hand to right knee. Just turn around the back, see what you can see back there. And then let's go in the opposite direction. So yesterday we did those marches. Today we're just doing twists. So this is not your most extreme. It's something that's interesting to you. And I'd like to invite you to find a rhythm with this movement. So just kind of finding one side to the other, taking a hold of your knee. If there's anything you want to sweep away, this is the time to do it. I've got a candle that I lit the first time. It's called Autumn Wanders. It's by the Scent Queen Candle Company, and a local candle making company here in Chicago. And they also own the yoga studio that I teach at. It feels good to have the nice flame and scent with us today. Let's do one more each side. Good. And then just calm it down, come back to center. We're gonna take our right leg and just stretch it out to the side to whatever level you can, and then bend it in, stretch it inward. So you're bending your knee's facing forward, you're reaching down through your hip. Bring it up, and then stand on your left foot, stretch it forward, and then come back and cross it. So a couple of little hip moves. We'll do it slowly again. Use your hands for support as much as you need to. So up, stretch it out to the side, up, bend it into that Z sit, up, stand on your left and forward, and then up and cross. Let's do it a couple more times like that. Up, out to the side, into the Z, forward, reaching, coming back. Twice more. To the side. There's crunching. You're looking for the path of least resistance. Standing forward, back to cross-legged. One more time. Out to the side. Bending the knee. Reaching it forward. Back to cross-legged to stay. Bring your arms up overhead. Take a deep breath in. And then just let yourself reach forward, drape forward, stretch forward. Take a couple breaths here. Letting your body weight come down to the ground. And let's roll up through the spine. Rock back on your hips and then uncross and recross, and we'll try on the other hip. So we're coming out to the side, up, and down. Oh, beautiful candle. Midnight magic. Forward, standing on that leg, and then back to the cross-legged. Out to the side, and in, and forward. I do feel really satisfied that we make it a priority to get this practice in as well as the others. And of course, you know that we're gonna be building back up as the weeks progress. Bring it forward and cross. Let's do two more. But it's nice to know that it's the recovery and the mind and body aspects of things are really baked in to our experience on a weekly basis. I feel proud of that in some ways. Good. Let's make it one more time. Out to the side, bring it in, bring it forward, cross it in front, reach your arms up, big stretch, and all the way forward. Yeah, Tracy, so this is a perfect example of that stretch savor. So it's challenging because, I am the teacher, and in all other areas, I'm supposed to be the one to tell you what to do. And in my body, there's a challenge, but it also feels pretty good. It's simply because I have a longer term experience with it. So it would be unrealistic and also kind of mean for me to ask you to do it the way that I'm doing it. Instead, we want to think of using the shapes that I've offered you as kind of a template, and then doing whatever you can do to make it feel better for yourself. So if that means just one position or less range or going back to something that we've done in the past, like just a little hip mobility here, you have lots of choices. And even if when I'm in person, this is how I teach the class, is just really focused on these kind of choices. So, all right, next we're gonna come down onto our backs. So I'm gonna get my fun little spiky mat. So these are, it's an acupressure point mat, and it is, and I do partner with them, but I also wanted to use it. So they've got like a million little spikies. Do they hurt? Kinda, but not in a way that puts me into the stress survival mode, okay? So when you're ready, come down onto your back. Join me here. If you've got a spiky mat, you can absolutely work with it too. And of course, I'm using, or I'm wearing, my clothes, as is the case. So sometimes I'll do this without a top on so it gets to my lower back, and just more kind of sports bra and shorts aspect. So however you're laying, I just want you to stay here for a moment and then see if you can find your weight, and then just place the weight on your low belly, whether it's your water bottle, it's just something that has a shape. And so from here, we're gonna start to just breathe into the belly and allow the breath that you take into your lungs to widen your abdomen and maybe lift the weight. So what I'm not doing is like pushing with my muscles and bearing down. What I am doing is letting the breath that comes into my body move the weight up, and then feel the movement of the weight down as I exhale. Let's do that a couple times. So it's always interesting about laying on these acupressure mats is when I've been having kind of headaches or tension, jaw, back, it's like the head is actually the most challenging for me right now. You can get tight fascia around your skull as well, so this can help to just kind of bring in a different sensation. Let's just keep breathing with the focus on the abdomen, and you can also keep holding on to your weight if you need to. We're just exploring the way that the abdomen moves with your breath in a position that's a little more supported. And as you finish your last exhalation, let's move the weight up to your sternum, to your breastbone. So you might find that it's easier to keep your hands here so it doesn't slide around, but as you breathe in, you're just thinking about pulling the air into your lungs and allowing your rib cage to widen and lift as the lungs become more full. And then as you exhale, your sternum releases back down. Good. Let's do this a couple more times. A lot of times the movement of the sternum, the breastbone, will be described as kind of a pump handle action. So I'm right now a water pump on its side. As we breathe in, the handle lifts to fill up the lungs with air, and as we breathe out, the handle or the breastbone comes down to help empty the lungs. So if you can imagine that action's happening as the weight moves up and down, sometimes that can be helpful in getting a little movement. And by the way, a lot of us we haven't been conditioned to be aware of the movement of our ribs while we're breathing. So we just need to, it's just a point of inquiry. But again, if you get into this place where you feel like you're in survival mode, that's not the place we want to be right now. We want to be savoring the curiosity. So a couple more breaths, just lifting your sternum through the breath and lowering. And I should say that judgment will also bring you into the space of survival mode, right? So nothing but curiosity. There are no shoulds in this exploration. There's only just noticing. Let's do one more. All right, we'll remove the weight and just place it to the side. I'm gonna just flip this pillow over so I have less spikes, and my back is okay. So take your fingertips and place them on your sternum so they're kind of pointing downward. And from here, we're gonna play with just what happens when we lift our head off the mat, but we're moving from the sternum. So we want a deep breath in, filling up. Feel your fingers rising, and then as you exhale, feel the sternum, the breastbone slide down. Follow that movement, look towards your hands, and just feel your sternum kind of pressing downward gently and sliding towards those hips. and then slowly come back. Now, when I do this, I find that that middle back that we worked on the ball yesterday gets a bit of opening. So just easy as you go. Deep breath in. Exhale to slide your sternum. When the mood hits you, continue to slide the sternum down and curl up to any amount. And then lower all the way back. Breathing in. Exhaling. Deepening and reaching. And all the way down. One more time. Good. And all the way back. Now take your hands flat to your pelvis. And we're going to play with the exhale and rocking and rolling backwards. So deep breath in here. Exhale and tilt your hips back until your low back gets wider against the mat. And remember that sense of the weight dropping as you breathe out. So when we inhale, we're going to roll all the way forward to the tip of the tail, creating space underneath our lower back. And as you exhale, rock back to your lower back, feeling the contents of your pelvis just heavy against the mat, wide to your back. Do it a couple more times. Breathing in. Breathing out. Filling up your abdomen as you roll toward your tail. Emptying your lungs as you rock backward. Let's go 2 more times. Last big breath. As you rock back to your lower back, let's let our arms come down by the side, and I want you to start to lift your hips off in a bridge, and I'm gonna go ahead and move the spikes out from underneath. So we're gonna come all the way up into our bridge, nice and long and lifted, lots of space. Float your arms up to the sky. Take your fingertips to your sternum. We'll take a breath in here. As we exhale, slide the sternum down in order to start the roll down through your bridge. Let your rib cage get wider on the mat. Let your upper, middle, lower back touch. Find your pelvis and then release all the way down. And just take a moment here. Resting in the weight of your bones. Let's breathe in. Maybe you take your hands on your pelvis and let your hips rock backward. Dropping the weight into the mat, into your waist, and then use your legs to press and peel your spine up. Good. From here, float your arms up to the sky. Before we roll down, let's take the right arm up and back, reaching it as far as you can without any pain, working into a space that feels stretched, not unsafe. And then let's go to the other side. Again with the right arm, practicing a little endurance through the legs. And last with the left. Take a deep breath in here. As you exhale, your fingertips help your sternum make its way down through your body, rolling through each bone of the spine, and then releasing at the bottom, hands to your pelvis. Let's go one more time. Exhaling as you go. That idea of the puffy back we worked on earlier this week, that might be coming in handy for you as you find your bridge, floating your arms up. Let's take a big inhalation, and then as you exhale, continue to reach your arms back overhead and just let them reach or touch the ground, whatever you can manage here. Take another breath in, and on your exhale, start to slide your sternum away, reaching your arms overhead.
and roll down through the spine, feeling that stretch of your entire body, reaching long. Let's float our arms up, back down to the floor, and do that one more time. So peeling up, breathing out, emptying your lungs, feeling your low, middle, upper back widen as you peel to the top of your bridge. Once you get there, take a breath, reach your arms back overhead to any degree that you can manage, and then stretch for something wonderful behind you as you start to roll down through your spine. Reaching, finding new space. Good. Pause at the bottom. Let's slide our arms out to a T and just let your knees go side to side. Just a little windshield wiper back and forth. Breathing into the areas that feel tighter, that need a little bit more attention. Good, and then come back to center. Let's bring our knees into our chest and just give ourselves a little hug, whatever you want to do. If you want to open and close the legs a few times. You want to make some circles around your sacrum. Good. Now, you can choose, I'm going to reverse my circles before I get up. You can choose to be in a chair or a seated position. You can choose to stay laying down, or any other level of comfort that might be helpful for you. I'm just going to roll onto your side to come all the way up. And we're gonna just work into some seated breathwork practices. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my little back jacker over. And I just wanna make sure that we're gonna have enough soundtrack. So get yourself comfortable. Yeah, that's like that. Let's go right here. All right. Awesome. So, again, comfort is the name of the game. And as I talk you through some of our practice here, just do the best you can to stay in a headspace that's acknowledging that there are distractions, but not letting the distractions take you away from the experience at hand. All right, so let's find a space where we can feel grounded, whether that's lying on your back or seated in a chair. I'm gonna let the weight of your body become kind of a partnership with whatever it is you're resting upon. If you're cross-legged like me, you want the outer edges of your feet to start to relax and release. I'm just thinking about what's going to be the most comfortable. I'm going to change my legs. That's better. Seated on your sits bones if you are in your chair. And I always like to approach any breathing practice with the forearms able to rest on your legs or the arms of the chair or the floor. And in the event, of course, that that's not possible based on your arms, you can always bring, it actually feels really nice. Now I wish I had two. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. It works perfectly. And there's even a lotus flower, so it's beautiful. All right, yeah, this music is one of my favorite playlists. I do have intentions of putting these playlists on Spotify. It's just like one song at a time, so it doesn't always go quickly. All right, let's drop back into our awareness, our groundedness. And if you're in your home and you feel like closing your eyes is going to be beneficial for you today, close your eyes. You can always keep them open. You can even bring your candle in front of you and just watch the flame as a point of attention, especially if you're somebody who has a challenge staying focused during any sort of breathwork practice. All right. So again, today's practice is a little more passive than it is active on purpose, just to regulate, just to get us feeling. So if you're ready, choose your focal point, close your eyes, or just soften your gaze. And let's just begin to take some slow breaths. I'll invite you to go in through the nose and out through the mouth, but also if you'd like to breathe only through your mouth or only through your nose, that's absolutely your objective. So again, we're in the moment of savoring, not survival. As you breathe, drawing your attention to your sternum, your pelvis, noticing the space you create, and also the connection that happens as you breathe out. There's often a sense of urgency in these practices to get through it, to get to the other side, to get to the benefit of it. I want to invite you to just be here now, as the book title says. Nothing else matters in this moment. It's the time that you're giving to yourself. It's the breath that you're experiencing in your body. Sense of comfort and contentment, creating space, opportunities for awareness, a chance to let things go. And as we breathe, I'd like you to consider a time may have experienced recently or in the past, where you may have felt some anxiety or anticipation about taking it on. You may have been worried about whether or not you could do it. But at the end of the experience, you recognized that you had what it took to accomplish the task. Maybe it was a difficult conversation, problem solving at work or in the house, navigating through an unexpected event, maybe with the dogs. Just rolling with stress that you either were a little worried about or maybe even unprepared for. But in this situation, I'd like you to consider something where you came out the other side and felt pretty good about it. You learned something, you grew from it, you got to know yourself a little better. And as you just let that scene or situation play out in your mind, I'd like you to tune in to any sensations in your body. So if you think about what came up when you were worried or anxious, where does your attention go in your body? Sometimes anxiety lands in our throats or our chest. Sometimes it's in our hips, our jaw. Let's consider where that worry, that anticipation shows up for you. Next, I'd like you to consider the part where you felt the fear or the worry and did it anyway. Even if you're not totally certain of the sensation that comes up in your body, what do you think it feels like to be in fear, but also to move forward? Brene Brown often talks about being able to hold two truths at once, where you can be both brave and afraid at the same time. What does that feel like for you in your body? Where does it land? Maybe it's in your heart, your stomach, your muscles, or your mind. We're just noticing, just looking, paying our attention. And then finally, let's consider the transition between having made it through a situation that challenged us, but being on the other side of it, feeling maybe a sense of pride or accomplishment, maybe a little surprise in terms of how you showed up for yourself or for someone else. Let's consider that feeling and where that might land in your body. Sometimes it could be your heart or your sternum, your solar plexus. Maybe it's lower in your pelvis. As you breathe, just imagine that you could breathe some light or energy into the sensation of accomplishment, into the sensation of surprising yourself, moving through a situation where you had to be both brave and afraid at the same time. Into a situation where you really showed up for yourself and revealed maybe some empowerment that you didn't know was there. Let's call this sensation the part where we get to savor what we're moving through. The part where we feel and see ourselves for what we're able to accomplish, what we're able to meet, how we're able to meet the stressors in our lives, who we truly are at the center of our being. Just take a few more moments to breathe into that concept of savoring something that's helped you grow, even if it was uncomfortable, even if you experienced anticipation, anxiety, worry. Get to know that sensation of being able to savor an experience that tested you, but that you were able to meet well. Let's just continue for a few more moments. And I'd like to ask you if there are any other areas in your day or the rest of your week where you think you might be able to experience that sensation of savoring. Personally, I have a creative project that I've been putting off because I'm worried that I won't do it justice. I don't have a full understanding of how it's all going to play out. And I have a little anxiety about the starting process. But I know that if I move through that discomfort, then I might be able to make it back to this place of being able to savor moving through it. That's truly the piece that we're talking about. So let's continue to deepen our breath in and around this sensation. The goal of this practice is to really create some level of awareness about what it feels like to be in an embodied state of savoring. What it feels like in your breath and your cells, what it feels like to your heart and your mind, what it feels like to accept it without judgment. So as we start to come away from our practice, deepening the breath, bringing some micro movements to the toes, to the fingers, to the hands, maybe swallowing a few times. Rolling your shoulders, moving your head around a little bit. And when you're ready, blinking your eyes open. So the practice that we just did is also a bit of an assignment for you for the rest of the week. And I would encourage you to use a Post-it or an alarm on your phone, or even though I know this is not the most healthy thing to do, but you could write it down. There are tattoo pens that are not as toxic. You could write it down on your hand. Remember to savor. Am I savoring? Where is the savor? Things like that. I think that I know that the more research I do into human behavior, the more I work as a coach, the more we recognize that our world is really wiring us for receiving and experiencing stress. And we will inherently receive and experience stress. It's part of our lives. However, we can also balance that ability to receive and experience high levels of stress that push us towards the survival mode by also understanding that some of our stressors can put us into the savor space. And I think that it's a muscle that I know I want to train, because I want to believe that life is not as stressful as sometimes it feels like it is. And it's something that I want to offer to all of you as well, so that we can just be in kind of community, in expanding our capacity for growth without having to lose ourselves in the process of growing. Throughout many situations that have been really challenging from a health perspective, I've consistently received the feedback from clients and colleagues that, well, you're going through this so that you can help others. There's something about that has always just rubbed me the wrong way, in the sense of like, is it necessary for one to suffer and struggle in order to understand compassion and help and, relevance for the help that you're giving to someone else? I think there's a both and response for that. Obviously, experiencing something yourself can lend itself to having empathy for another person who's going through a similar experience. And we also experience every stressor individually. So I think that when we have that compassion to be able to, even though we haven't experienced something, we can still lend a helping ear or hand, or in some cases dollar. Those things are available to us even though we don't know what it's like for another person to go through. And in my world, it just feels much more relevant to be able to explore both the struggle and the savor. So I hope that makes sense to all of you. I hope you feel grounded in your body. I know that with everything going on in the world today, it is very easy to become untethered, and it is reasonable that our emotions and our empathy becomes untethered. And for your own sake of just caring for yourself in the moment, to be able to continue to move on with your day and possibly be aiding in another person's life, I ask that you just remember the sense of grounding and make every attempt, if you are in a space where you are not dealing with rapid fire stress all day long, make every attempt to normalize the space of grounding to be part of your experience. If there's one thing that I want to impart in terms of meditation, it's not to disconnect. It's not to just remove your stressors. See ya, you're done with me talking. It's not just to add humor. It's also to bring in a normal expectation of life being for us as much as it can feel like it's against us. So with that, I just thank you for being here with me. I want to encourage you to go have a nice warm drink of some sort. Water, tea, coffee. I'm not going to judge. I have this chai matcha latte. Oy, it's so good. I'm going to have that. Let's take care of ourselves this week. Let's move forward, and that idea of savoring. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for creating this little space with me today. We'll be back next week. I've got a couple weeks of classes up, and again, if you haven't joined the fall renewal program yet, join it. It's so much. I'm in a space of pride for it. I want you to receive what you need, and there's a big take what you need and leave the rest. So there isn't a whole huge pressurized focus on overhauling. It's really about savoring. Okay, big love to all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for being here.